Hey, what is going on YouTube? Welcome back to another video and tutorial in Ask Tutorials and More. And in this new video guys, I'll be telling you guys how to create and run a Windows 10 virtual machine via Virtualbox. This is very useful if you want to run multiple instances in one OS on the same exact computer or laptop. So to get started, we're going to go ahead and first we want to download Virtualbox from this link, virtualbox.org/wiki/downloads. You want to download for Mac OS X or Windows, so it doesn't matter what you download it for. You can download it from here, and after you're done downloading it, go ahead and run the exe file. For me, I have already obviously downloaded it, so I don't have to really open up the exe file again. But if you've already downloaded it, nice. If you don't, go ahead and download it. Just click on Windows Host, for example, and it will automatically download, but I don't need to download it, so I'm going to cancel that. But once you're done downloading that, so if you want to run a Windows 10 virtual machine, you'll obviously need to get the Windows 10 ISO. To do that, you can just go to the Media Creation tool. You can download this from this link up here. I will leave a link to all of this. Microsoft.com/n-us/software-download/Windows 10. Or just search it up if you want, but I will leave a link. So then you can download the Windows 10 Media Creation tool. This will allow you to create the ISO file so you can actually boot it from the virtual machine. Now let's get started on actually creating a Windows 10 virtual machine. I prefer you download the ISO file first using the Media Creation tool before we get started. So you would run the Media Creation tool, I'll just show you guys, and it'll tell you to accept the terms and conditions and all that stuff. You go ahead and you click next, and this Media Creation tool, it'll take like a few seconds. It's gonna ask you, do you want to burn it to a DVD or do you want to download it? It's going to ask you that option. You want to go ahead and choose burn to a DVD so we can actually get the disk image file. We do not want to flash the ISO file to a USB. So we're not going to upgrade the PC. We're going to create an installation media. Click next. Obviously mine is an x64-bit and that is the most common architecture nowadays. So then you would click next, and then you would obviously click ISO file so you can burn it to a DVD later, and that's what you're gonna do. But since I've already downloaded the ISO file, I'm not gonna really do that. But let's get started on creating the virtual machine. Once you're done getting virtual machine, guys, like I said, you want to go ahead and launch up Virtualbox. Once you launch it up, it'll bring you to this page here. So if you already have some virtual machines, it'll be right here, but it doesn't matter. I'm creating a new virtual machine in this tutorial. So now you want to create a new virtual machine. To do this, you want to click the button at the top that says New. Click on it. Choose a name and operating system. You can name it anything you want. I'm just going to name it Windows 10 Virtualbox Tutorial. I'm going to name it that, and I am going to choose Microsoft Windows, obviously. And if you have a 32-bit operating system, if you have a 32-bit host machine, then you obviously won't have a 64-bit option. But if you do have a 64-bit architecture, you just click Windows 10 64-bit. Now keep in note, even if your architecture is an x64 64-bit based operating system, for you to be able to create a 64-bit virtual machine, you will need to enable Intel virtualization technology, or it's called hardware assisted virtualization. Sometimes the guest OS will fail to boot if you don't enable it, and you'll not be able to create a 64-bit OS if you don't do it. So make sure to enable Intel virtualization technology or hardware assisted virtualization. Now you want to click next. Choose a memory size. Now usually I like to do 8 gigs of RAM because it'll make the virtual machine smooth, no lag at all. Since I have a lot of RAM in my computer, I have 12 gigs of RAM. But for you, you should just choose 4096 megabytes of RAM. 4 gigs of RAM is optimal for Windows, and usually most computers have at least 4 gigs of RAM now, or 8 gigs of RAM, so you can choose 4 gigs of RAM. But if you have less than 4 gigs of RAM in your computer, you would obviously choose 2048 megabytes, which is the recommended size. But I will choose 4096 megabytes for the RAM allocation. Click next. And you want to create a virtual hard disk, but if you already have an existing one with an old OS or something, you would click use an existing one, but I don't want to do that. I'll create a new one, and you should also create a new one. You would want to do Virtualbox disk image in a .vdi format. Click next. And you want to do fixed size. So when you create a fixed size, if the OS, whatever files are in your guest OS, if it is over the amount of the fixed size, then you will be low on storage. But if you do dynamically allocated, it doesn't matter how much you store on your virtual machine, because it'll keep on increasing the hard disk size as files are stored. But for me, I'm going to do fixed size. You should also do fixed size. It's better to have a specific amount for the virtual disk. You don't want to like do dynamically allocated, because then you'll have some problems. So I just prefer doing fixed size. Just stick with that. Click next. Now you want to go ahead and choose a hard disk size. I like to choose 100 GB for my hard disk. That's what I did for the other VM over here. I've already created a VM, you could see up here. But for this video, to make it faster, I'm just going to do a small hard disk size. So I'm going to do only 30 gigs. It's enough to run Windows, and you'll have some space remaining. And for this video, I want to make it quick, so I'll just do 30 gigs so it creates pretty quickly. And finally, you click create, and your virtual machine will start creating. I'll fast forward this part for you guys. Now you guys will click create. Your virtual machine will start creating. Give it a moment or two. Alright guys, so once your virtual hard disk is done creating, you will see it appear up here. You could see I named my virtual machine Windows 10 Virtualbox Tutorial. It is right over here. So now it is actually time to get started on loading the optical disk file into your virtual machine so you can actually boot up Windows 10. This is very simple. So you click on your virtual machine, and then you click the settings button on top. After that, you go down to the storage tab, and then you click on the empty optical disk so you can actually load up the ISO file. Click on choose virtual optical disk file. Then select your disk image you just downloaded or created from the media creation tool. I have multiple Windows disk image files, so don't get confused, but I just renamed the Windows disk image file that I need. But by default, when you create a disk image from the media creation tool, it'll just be called Windows. But I named mine Windows 64-bit. I've just renamed the disk file. So I'll open up my optical disk or disk image file. And now all you do is you click OK. Now before starting up your virtual machine, I recommend you close out other applications or browser or whatever, because if your PC doesn't have enough RAM, it may cause the guest OS to fail booting. So make sure to close things out, but I have a lot of RAM in my PC, so I'll just leave everything open. And now you click start. Start the VM. Give it at least 5 or 10 minutes for the thing to load up, but for me, it only takes around 2 minutes to fully boot it up. You'll see a Windows logo pop up, and then you'll see a loading indicator. Just give it a moment or two. I will fast forward some parts of it. Okay, now we are at the Windows setup. You can just install Windows normally like how you would do on a real computer or laptop. All you do is you select your language, your time and currency format, and keyboard or input method and all that stuff. You click next and then you click the install button. This will install Windows to the empty, healthy hard disk that you have created, the virtual hard disk. So click install and it'll automatically find the hard disk that we just created and install Windows to it. So click install. This will take at least 15 minutes, even for me, so I will fast forward this part for you guys. Alright guys, so after a minute or so, you will get to this screen that says activate Windows. You will need to activate your Windows with a product key, but if you don't have one, you can just run the evaluation version of Windows, but you will need to activate Windows later if you want to use all the features. But in this video, I'll click I don't have a product key. And then choose an operating system you want to install. I'll just do Windows 10 Pro, it doesn't really matter. And I'll click next. And then it'll ask me where to install the hard disk if you have multiple hard disks. But I'll click next and accept the license terms and conditions and all that stuff. Click next. And you should click custom since anyways the virtual hard disk that we created is blank. There's nothing on it. So you click custom, install Windows only advanced. Then choose the drive the virtual hard disk drive. And mine is obviously 30 gigs, so this is the hard disk that I need to install Windows on. I'll just click next. This will take 15 minutes like I said earlier, so I will fast forward this part now. I'll be right back when Windows successfully installs. Alright. Windows is almost done installing now. It's telling me Windows needs to restart to continue, so I'll just wait for it to restart. Okay, Virtualbox will reboot. And don't press any key to boot from CD or DVD. Let it boot on its own. It'll show you the Windows logo. Okay, and once that is done, you will be restarted. The Virtualbox will restart. And after the reboot, Windows will go into the welcome screen so you can actually set up Windows 10 normally, like a laptop or computer. Alright guys, so Windows 10 has successfully been installed. It's successfully installed, and now I am finally in the Windows desktop. There's a message that says welcome to the best Windows ever. And yeah, that basically wraps it up. That is how you run a Windows 10 virtual machine using Oracle VirtualBox. And it's all free, there's no additional cost or anything. Now before I end this video, I just want to show you guys how to make your virtual machine full screen. You could see it's not really full screen, it's just like a tiny square. Now even if you go ahead and click the view tab and then click full screen mode and then click switch, even if you do that, it's still not really full screen. Now there is an easy way to make it full screen. I'll quickly show you now. So you want to exit full screen. Okay, so to make your VirtualBox in full screen, all you do is you click the Devices tab at the top left, then click Insert Guest Additions CD image. And then that would have been inserted. So if you go ahead, let me close this out. If you go ahead and head into your file explorer and then click this PC, you should see there's a CD drive in letter D, Virtualbox Guest Editions. You want to go ahead and click on that. And then you want to click VBox Windows Editions. After you click on that, it's going to ask you for administrator privileges. You just click yes. It's going to say welcome to the setup wizard. Just click next, next. Install the guest editions, obviously DirectX 3 support, and the start menu entry. Just install everything. It's not a lot of storage, only 7.4 megabytes. So click install. It's gonna start installing. Windows security is gonna pop up a message saying, do you wanna trust VirtualBox software? Just do always trust. It's gonna install everything sooner. Now, once everything is done installed, all you do is you have to go ahead and click the start menu and then reboot your virtual machine. Then your virtual machine will be in full screen instantly. I'll show you now. Just a few moments for this to actually install. Another few more moments. This doesn't take too long, so... Okay, now it's gonna ask you on reboot now. Just click reboot now. Choose finish. Your virtual machine will reboot. And you should see your virtual machine in full screen. So just click view, do full screen mode, and click switch. The Windows logo pops up and the loading logo pops up. Reboot, just click full screen again, and look at that. This is the virtual machine. You can't even tell that it's a virtual machine now. It's basically everything on here. You got your Windows 10 running completely on this full screen on another instance. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this video. As always, stay tuned for more videos, and please subscribe and like this video if you learned something new about VirtualBox. And as always, peace out. Alright.